Hello and welcome back today, where we're going to make the connection from yesterday's importance to have inspiring goals and what it means that they are in spirit inspired. And so I promised today have a little look at what then are the obstacles why we're not there. So, and I'm going also to cover 6 thinking keys on how you can go there. So if that's something you would like to find out, so stay with me for the next couple of minutes. So I hope you saw yesterday's call, or you might go back in the same profile you're watching this right now. If you're on LinkedIn or YouTube, so you might want to hop over to the Mindful Success Achievers community, because there is also other interactions going on. And that's really cool to have like-minded peers, to have this as a group energy, and to just feel that others are on this journey too. And it's really a good thing, because success in the end of the day is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. That's from Earl Nightingale. And the focus here is on the progression, right? No one, every overnight success, no one asked them what they did all the nights before, right? So they had their nights too. I had my nights, and I'm sure you had your nights before you became or will become the success you envision to be. So yesterday I also covered the 4 levels of awareness, and that's super important, because when we speak about success, then on the highest level of awareness, you first become the success in your heart. You feel it with every cell of your body that you are successful, that you are the shining person you want to be. And then success will follow. It's just a natural. That's how it works. And that's really amazing. So yeah, today I'm going to go over it. So a quick repetition. So the inspired, inspirited goal, where you bring yourself into your spirit, where you express the desires of your spirit. Again, the inspired goals. What it does is that it gives you the direction and the energy. The direction is like, here's my goal, so that's where I'm going, because otherwise we can run around and figure out things and try another strategy. And, like a marathon runner kind of needs to know the plan, the game plan, the way, the path that is he or she is going to follow, and then they will reach the goal, unless there are some markings, guidance, structure. They can run all their life and never come to the finish line, because they don't really see where where this is, right? And therefore, once you know where your goal is, and so you know the direction. And also, if it is in your spirit, if it's an inspired goal, so you definitely have the energies. Otherwise, it's not an inspired goal. If you don't feel this crippling in your stomach, and if you just don't feel these energies, so it's not the inspired goal. So go and get clarity on your purpose, on what is possible for you. And if you want, book a call and let's have a chat on that. Like, that's my specialty, to kind of say, no, that's not big enough. Let's make it bigger. So we really want to do this. So if that's where you're at, if you just don't figure out where your inspired goal is, so let's have a chat. So that said, where do your habits, come from? And the thing is that usually they come from a very early childhood experiences. So when you were this little cute baby and you started to cry, perhaps you were hungry. So the amount of time it took until someone came to attend to your needs, the way someone came to attend to your needs, the attitude, the content, like what did people understand what you really need when you were that baby? So that there are so many patterns that already or that are existent from very early childhood experiences that we were not conscious of, but subconsciously we know, I just have to be patient, or if I don't shout very loud so that no one is going to hear me. So whatever it is for you, that's a pattern. And understanding these patterns will give you the key of how to recognize what's holding you back. Okay, so that said, I just see comments coming in, and let me make sure that they are here. Good. So, okay, understanding the patterns is important because only once you're aware, and that brings me back to the level of awareness of yesterday, once you are aware of the pattern, you can break it or change it or upgrade it. But you understand what's going on, and that's the only way that things will change in your life. And that's a very beautiful thing, because like the patterns that you were raised with, that your culture came with, that your employment environment or business is set up, most probably it's not your fault. Most probably you're not responsible for it, but you can take responsibility. So that's the difference. Once you're aware of a certain pattern going on, of a certain trigger that makes you feel less than happy, so once you're aware of it, this is the moment, second level of awareness, where you can change, where you can think differently about what's going on. So whatever your thoughts about your goal, that's really too high, or that's for someone else, or I don't deserve, or I have no idea how to ever get there, whatever those thoughts, you create and live by those thoughts because they are your pattern. They are your thinking pattern. So in order to break that, you need new thoughts. For example, I can do it. Or answering the question, who am I to know this? Okay, who am I? Good question. I'm Nadine. I am a marketing pro. I studied with Bob Proctor. I love technical things. I'm a good copywriter. Like whatever comes to you, who you really are. I'm a good mother. I'm a spouse. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter as well. So there are so many things that make us up, make every one of us up. And so there is a very unique footprint to who you are. And this is already the answer. Who am I? I am this collection of everything I am. And so if you go back to yesterday's video where we spoke about the level of awareness, I am. So create your I am. Who are you? I am successful. I am rich. I am resourceful. So those I am patterns are your new patterns, and you can change your thoughts within milliseconds, right? You can think about the white rose. Think about the white rose. Let's try this. White rose. Can you imagine it? Flower, right? White rose. Where is it? How does it smell? And then you think about the blue car. Like blue car. So within milliseconds, you could change your thoughts. It took you literally milliseconds. So when you ask, who am I? And you say you have doubts. So within milliseconds, you can actually say, okay, who am I? I am Nadine. I am a wonderful person helping others in their business, right? So who am I? So once you can answer this in a positive way, guess what happens? You have new thoughts, you have new results. That's how it works. So let's go back one step. So whatever doesn't work for you right now, let's see how you can create new thoughts. So first, that's the first part, that you are aware of what's not working. Okay, so that's the first thing. Take honest inventory about what is working, what is not. Like, be honest about that, right? Because if not you, who else can be honest? Now, I didn't say critical, like, oh, that's bad, that doesn't work, da, da, da. I said just be honest. Let's be very, so here is the one thinking pattern, take your reason. So this is the situation, this is the amount of sales I get, this is the amount of clients I talk to, this is the amount of projects I get to do, this is the amount of time I spend with my children, like really without emotions, right? Just what is, okay? Take inventory, that's the first, right? And once you understand what is, so then, or let me expand on it, on this a little more. So once you take inventory on what is, there is two kinds of ways to look at it. From outside in, so what do other people think that is? Is this considered a success? Is this considered interesting? What kind of feedback do I get? And then you take inventory of what that feedback is worth to you. Do you care what other people think? In what situations do you or don't you accept criticism, feedback, compliments, whatever that comes in? And the other way to look at it, to the inventory, is from inside out, right? So what is it in you that makes you think how you think, right? So make that decision to look at it, right? Make that decision to, or take these glasses of what comes from outside and what do I put from inside? Like, how do I look at that from these points of view? And if you think, okay, there was a very interesting study or interview series by Ken Honda, who has interviewed all millionaires and billionaires. I'm not sure how many billionaires there is, but especially the millionaires in Japan. So there were a couple of them, and he interviewed them, and he asked about how rich they feel. And interestingly enough, there were many millionaires that didn't feel rich because they didn't have another house at the Japanese Riviera. They didn't have a private jet. They, whatever. So what is it to be rich? For some children, for some people, it is to have dessert every evening, to be able to go on vacation, to be able to buy a house. So since it's very individual what it means to be rich, no amount of money will define what riches really is, right? And the same goes with success. So for a child to have fun in school is a success. And grades, if they're good or not, is that a success? Does that define us? And the same goes in business, right? Is it the amount of clients I have, the amount of money I make, the amount of hearts I touch? Like, what is success, right? What are the numbers I am counting? So that is taking the inventory, and the way you take inventory is a pattern already. So you can also think about, what am I looking at? What am I measuring? And accordingly, you define what is it that you want. Not what's the industry standard, not what other things, not what you think perhaps, but what do you want to think? Okay, so that's the first thing. You have to be really honest with your inventory and bring it to a why do I think to the way I think. And then the next step would be, and if you want to write it down, that's a very good point to grab a pen and paper, write down these 6 thinking faculties so you can achieve really everything you want, okay? So the first go-to thing is then, what do you want? I just said that. So what do you use in order to find out what you want? Your imagination. In your imagination, you can go everywhere you want. I can be right now in the Provence, in the lavendel field, because I can think about it. I can see myself there in my mind, in my imagination. I can see myself in my mind to take a selfie with the Statue of Liberty and being, let's say, in Paris next to the Eiffel Tower. I can do that in my imagination. I can be all over the world and all over the universe within milliseconds. So everything, every aspect of your goal already exists in your imagination. And you know what? Your goal and your imagination takes you to what is exclusively and uniquely your thought. I cannot go into your imagination and see the same kind of picture that you see when we both speak about success or riches or vacations or, whatever. So how interesting is that? So the first thinking faculty in this case is your imagination. So use it to find out what is it that you really, really want. And that again gives you the energy to take the action, right? If some of you struggle with procrastination, it is just because you don't know what you want and you haven't made a decision to get it. So what if you change that around? What if you say, okay, I'll just now travel in my imagination. I'll pick a goal, I'll pick what I want and make a decision that I'm going to go there. Now, in the first moment, you're not going to know how, and many just then get rid of all the dreams because, I don't know how, and that's it, done for me. I cannot do it because I don't know how. So if this is you, change your thoughts. How cool is that we can change thoughts within milliseconds? So once you're in your imagination, then instead of saying no, the next question is, how can I make it possible? Second level of awareness, because you're not yet aware of the solution. So you ask the question, what can I do right now? And I'm not asking what can I not do or what's not possible. That's just not on the agenda. What can I do right now in order to make it happen? So for this, I can use my reason. Okay, I know this, I can do that, I could call there, all kinds of things that I can do right now. Does this one step take me straightly to my goal? Most probably not. But does it take me one step closer? Oh, yes. And didn't we say that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal? So there you go, one progress made. That's a success. So the success isn't when you are reaching your goal, it's the path to your goal. And your goal is your amazing life. It's what you want, right? So once you used, your memory faculties, once you thought about what do I know, where can I get support from, what are the resources I need? So as soon as you know, the next thing is to use the will. And that is where you make the decision. That is like, I am going to do this. I am going to reach my goals. I am going there where I was in my imagination. I have the will to do it. So when President Kennedy, and I know this from Bob Proctor, this story, he loves to tell it. So when President Kennedy asked Werner von Braun, who was the space project architect, what does it take to go to the moon? He said, the will to do it. So I ask you, what does it take to reach your goals? It's the will to do it. First of all, set your mind on the goal. So many people speak about mindset. You don't have a mindset, but you set your mind. And you always set your mind. Every second you think a thought, you think the thought according to how your mind is set. And if you set your mind on your goal, guess what? That's the only way you're going to reach it. If you don't set your mind on your goal, but on anything else, you will get anything else. Okay? So it's very important to understand this. Very important to know how this works. So then what you can do is to have different angles Use perception. Look at people who are successful already and just think, what do they think? Not what do they do? Because any strategy can work if you think in a certain way. Not if you do things in a certain way, but if you think in a certain way. If you do it in the right energy. If you do it in a connection on the level of awareness you are. And that's, again, if you're just tuning in now, go to listen to yesterday's conversation about the level of awareness. So then go into this perception. What did other people do? What did other people think? What was their mind set on when they started to do what they do, right? Then you can use the muscle, the mind muscle of intuition to ask for help. What feels right? What feels good right now? What is it that I can do right now? And in order to get the answers from your intuition, you have to become still. And it's not necessarily a meditation. It can be, but not. Sometimes you just sit still there for a couple of seconds, perhaps minute, and you get this intuition. You absolutely get it if you take the time to listen to what's coming into your mind. Because guess what? I mean, most people know about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, but there is the superconscious mind that brings it all together. And you know that this works because sometimes you have thought a person and then the person exactly called or said, oh, we were just talking about you, right? So if these 6 thinking faculties, like, you can use these in order to reach every of your goals. And if you want me to help you exactly how to implement these thinking faculties onto your goal, what are the steps? How is this implemented? Then I invite you to reach out, because this is like the way you think. This is how you set yourself up for success. And yeah, and the thing is, very often we cannot catch our thoughts unless we're asked probing questions. So very often we don't ask ourselves the uncomfortable question. Do you even know what question makes you uncomfortable? So I love to make people uncomfortable. And if this is something you want, let me know. I'd love to challenge you to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, just a little bit, but just in order to uncover the underlying thoughts. You know, when I ask you, what do you think about your success? What do you think about the situation that you are in right now, right? And whatever it is, something will come to your mind. So with your permission, I'd love to ask you a couple of questions, and accordingly, you can find out what's really going on in your mind. And that's the first thing I said. Once you know what's going on, once you have this inventory, guess what happens? You can understand the patterns, and only once you understand the patterns, you can change them. So if this makes sense, if you love this kind of input, then let's do it. So yesterday I talked about how and why to set this inspirational goal, this inspired goal, this wow goal, and the 4 levels of awareness in order to reach it. So today I gave you the thinking processes in order to reach it. And tomorrow I'll give you the success habits that will allow you to implement on them, because knowing how it works is not enough, but actually you have to take action and do it. And sometimes taking action is just really having the belief that you can as a start. So it's not the hard work, but it's, be the person you want to be. And not pretend, because many teach, that manifestation works by pretend. I'm not saying you don't imitate or you don't, it's really about setting your mind on the frequency, on the thoughts that you want to think. And at the very beginning, it will make you feel uncomfortable. But guess what happens when you practice? I mean, what happens if you practice anything, right? So if that's something you want to do, let's have a conversation. And tomorrow I'm going to share with you the key success habits so that you can implement these into your life. So I hope you really enjoyed this session, and I love to hear where you're at currently in your life and on your journey. And see you back tomorrow with the next session about the key success habits. Cheers!